completely opposite end of the spectrum from what Westside had at Clover. Did not have a touchdown in the first 4 quarters of the game for Crescent Liberty. It had to go to overtime. And Terry Hawkins was able to get the deciding touchdown for Crescent after Liberty took the first overtime possession and scored a field goal. My freelancer, Cody Hanks, did a fantastic job covering it.
Yeah, I read that.
I wish I could tell you more about it, but like I said, I just simply wasn't there.
Well, you could only go to one game.
But I do think, a lot like what we saw with Westside and Clover, I don't think you can judge either team too much after the first week, especially after the first game. But I do think you'll have a better idea of what Liberty has when they play and when Crescent plays again. And again, maybe Crescent, maybe not know that too much about them this week because they are traveling to Single A Dixie.
Yeah, and Dixie has a rough time.
Yeah, Crescent's beaten them the last 9 straight years.
Yeah.
So it would be good for Crescent to start 2-0 because I don't remember the last time they've done that down there. But yeah, that'll be the big one for them, traveling to Dixie, seeing if they can go to a decade of dominance, if you will, over the Hornets down there in Dixie. But that was really all the action from last week. This week, we can start with what I'm calling the game of the week, Powdersville at Palmetto. It's a non-region contest. It has kind of developed into a little bit of a rivalry, though.
Yeah, there's the proximity as such.
Yeah, and for a 3-year series, it's gotten a little more heated than I think a lot of people thought it would. Powdersville has won the last 2 games over Palmetto. Ever since that first meeting where Powdersville went winless in its first season of varsity football.
That's often very, that's a common thing.
Yes, it is. But Palmetto this year is they return a lot of players on offense, like I mentioned in our preview. They look good in the jamborees pretty much. The key for them is going to be defense, and can they stop Powdersville's offense? Powdersville runs that wide-open aerial assault, almost an air raid style offense. And Palmetto had trouble with that last year. They've changed their defense a little bit to fit their personnel. And if they can improve it just maybe 14 points on defense, I think you'll see them do a lot better this year. Because their offense has some pretty good skill players out there, and they can score points. They showed they could score points in the jamboree. Can they do it this week? Not entirely sure. There's a lot of questions for both teams, though, and none of them will be answered after the first week. But I do think that game between the Patriots and the Mustangs could be I think it'll be a close game, and should be a fan. If you're looking for a game just to watch, I would suggest go to that one because I think it has the makings to be a very entertaining ball game.
And that is at Palmetto too, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's in Williamston.
In Williamston, and yeah, I've been over there several times. I don't recall ever broadcasting a game there. I might have, but I was there when my sons were playing football at Westside, and they played some B team games over there. Okay.
Well, we have just basically 3 games left on our area schedule. Again, all non-region games. I guess the next one is Wren at Woodmont. This will be the Hurricanes going against a Class 4A opponent. But don't let that deceive anyone.
No.
Woodmont they've struggled the past few years. Ever since Greenville County redistricted their school districts a little bit, they just haven't had the athletes come to the school in mass quantities that you need to compete in that region.
Yeah.
Any fans of colleges will know Malik Young was really their last big player to come out, and he's now a sophomore at South Carolina on the offensive line. But other than that, they just haven't had the athletes. And Jamboree season did not go well for them. They got beat pretty badly by Palmetto in the Jamboree. A lot of mental mistakes on their part, and it'll be interesting to see if they can clean those up.
Yeah, if you can coach that out of them.
Yeah, a lot of offsides penalties, a lot of false starts, a lot of holding. And yes, it was just in the Jamboree. Jamborees and games are completely different mindsets you take in, but if you're making those types of errors in a Jamboree, they're probably going to carry over to game time unless they're addressed.
They will.
Wren also has questions. Their offense did not click probably as well as people would want to see in the Jamborees. But I do think you will see They do have the weapons, though. Like I said, Bailey Rogers is a guy to really watch out for in this area as a wide receiver. I think their defense will be good, but I still have questions on their offensive line having to replace 5 starters. That is something.
Yeah, you mentioned that last week. Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how they do against this level of an opponent. If Ren's able to blow them off the ball, you feel okay heading forward. But if they struggle in blocking Woodmont, it might not be an ideal season for the Hurricanes this year.
Okay.
And next up, we have BHP hosting Lawrence.
Now, I want to interject something here. Lawrence has always been a classification larger than BHP, but they give Lawrence, the Raiders, fits. They give them a hard time constantly.
Yes, they do, and BHP gives a lot of teams fits.
Sure they do, yeah.
Might be why they're moving to 4A after this season, because they are.
Yeah.
But BHP beat Lawrence last year. They've beaten them the past few times they've played them. But Lawrence is going to come in. They're going to be very athletic. They have good size. A one to watch for anyone going to the game is Thomas Jones. He is a safety. He may also play quarterback for him. He is a highly coveted football prospect in the state this year, but he is currently committed to go to Vanderbilt to play baseball. So
okay.
He's a very accomplished baseball.
Must make pretty good grades, too.
He does. He's also a candidate for the MLB draft this year, so very gifted athlete out there for Lawrence. I'm not sure if he is going to play quarterback for him full-time or not, but they do have all the athletes they need. The question I have for them is quarterback. It's the one area they typically struggle in finding someone that can move the ball downfield.
Yeah.
BHP, of course, as we mentioned, returns almost everyone from last year off a team that finished second in a tough region. A team I predicted to win the region this year. I think BHP gives Lawrence some more trouble this year, and probably if they don't beat them, it's going to be a very hard-fought game, and either team that comes out of this one is going to be a better team moving forward, just from the level of competition they play in their first game.
Okay. Now, some other games involving our area people. I'm just going to run down kind of quickly. Daniel is at Easley, and that's a bloodbath.
Yes, it is. That's a game. A lot like BHP, Daniel gives a lot of teams fits.
Yeah.
Easley's coming off a win over Pickens. Former West Side coach John Boggs is now coaching Pickens. Yeah. So that was a good win for Easley to get a one rivalry win. Now they're going to another rivalry game against a much, much stiffer opponent in Daniel.
Oh, yeah.
Daniel's young, but they are always athletic, always physical. And, they find ways to win doing their style of football.
Okay, then next we're going to have Seneca's at home to Greenville. And I expect, I don't know after this coaching change at Seneca, I don't know what to expect from the, it just kind of a strange thing has happened.
It is. There's not many programs that have 3 different head coaches in 3 seasons that stay in the win column.
Pretty good coaches too, by the way.
Yes, they do. When you lose Wayne Green and Gene Cathcart in consecutive seasons, that's hard to replace. Seneca does have the athletes. They have the talent. It's a question of getting them pointed in the right direction. And we'll find a lot about Brett Turner and his coaching ability this week against a quality Greenville school that's going to battle for a playoff spot in Region 1-4A.
Yes, they are. Yeah. All right, let's move on to West Oak at Walhalla. There's not a whole lot we can say there.
It's the annual Apple Bowl, so if you like apples, it does tend to be a competitive game. It to me is the essence of what high school football is. It's 2 local communities that just don't like each other.
Just line up and hit each other. Yeah.
I guess if one thing I can promise, it'll be a quick game because they both like to run the ball a lot. So the clock won't stop very much. But I think it'll be an entertaining game. It's even competition. But neither team, I think, is really going to compete for a playoff spot. they're still building. Both have younger coaches. They're still trying to build to, competing for a playoff spot one day. But I just don't think it's this year for either of them.
And finally, Pendleton is at Pickens, and that's Pickens this year's a 3A, right?
Yes, they are.
Okay, they've moved up and down so much.
Yeah, that's one of those weird schools. They deal a lot with transfers, people going to Liberty, going to Easley, going to Daniel. So it'll be a good test for Pendleton, I think. Pickens is improved, but as I said, Pendleton returns almost everyone from last year. They have talent. Paul Sutherland, he has his system in place. They're going to do their thing. They're going to run the ball. They're going to play stingy defense.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a good game, though, but I would not be surprised if Pendleton pulls away late.
Yeah. Well, that wraps up our preview of what I'm going to say here, Week 1.
Yeah,
it's the second show about high school football, but it's Week 1.
Yeah, as far as the South Carolina High School League is concerned, this is Week 1, even though, I'm not sure how you actually have a week nothing, but it'll definitely be a good week of football, I think, and we'll definitely have a lot to talk about next week for everybody.
Okay, Lake Morris, the reporter for the prep reporter for the Anderson Independent Mail, and they do a great job of covering our sports, local, whether it's college or high school, and we appreciate so much what you do. Okay, everybody, listen, we would like to hear from you, and our email address is joelkena@hotmail.com. That's JOEL Ken @hotmail.com, and we still got a few more surprises and things that we're going to try to do. So long, everybody.